Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Gemini. If Gemini is your solar, lunar, ascendant/rising sign, then this is a message for you. Okay, let's get started. Okay. And what do these tea leaves have to say tonight? Let's take a look. And so our card for tonight is the Six of Discs, which has everything to do with success. Not mad about that. Okay, so I want to start with, oops, throwing that thing. Okay, so I want to look at this one. And it looks like an animal that's kind of jumping, and below it we see what looks like it could be an arrow of some kind, like it's hit a wall, okay, or a tree or whatever. And so this tells me there's been a near miss, right? Oh no, there's been a miss, near miss. Yeah, that's how you say it. And so I believe that, we have this powerful, it looks like a deer, maybe kind of some of these ones in the tea leaves, the formations remind me of like cave paintings, right? Like kind of very primitive, primal. A lot of animals in action and hunt and this kind of thing. So here, as I'm looking at this, it makes me think, okay, so you've been moving along, and something happens, right? Some kind of catastrophe maybe is about to happen, impending doom, I don't know. Maybe just some kind of little nuisance. I'm not sure, but it seems like you were agile enough, had the right thinking, that you kind of really dodged the situation, okay, and you kept on moving. So that arrow, it went right into the whatever this is, and so I think that this is definitely adds to this feeling of success coming your way. You have become confident. You are able to anticipate. You are feeling your surroundings, really able to make a decision in a split second. And so I think this is just a really good indicator that you are kind of really in a place of power right now. Okay, so the other one I wanted to look at, well, we have, let's see, we have a parrot or a bird right here. So I think that there's, I know that in our readings we've been talking a lot about, kind of focusing on the work, really enjoying yourself, but not too much, finding a happy balance, kind of tempering of self. And when I see this bird, I think of maybe like a parrot, something, not that you are mimicking or parroting anything, but I think that there has been a lot of success in applying yourself to to doing things repeatedly, okay? Mastering whatever it is that you're working on by going over it over and over and over. Not unlike a parrot would repeat words, okay? So I think that, maybe applying yourself to the work, but also having a routine, taking time to focus on what you're learning, what you are creating, kind of not letting yourself like get too far out into a dalliance or something like that, but really just being in that place of repetition, definitely. And it can get to a point where, of course, you get burnt out. But when you're doing something that you really do enjoy, and you're doing it within moderation, so it's not too overwhelming, I think that, it becomes something that you are devoted to, and you begin to build a very special relationship with whatever it is you're doing. And I know I always talk about gardening and things, but for me, it's definitely gardening, cooking, somewhat cleaning. I clean every day, obviously, but and that's very repetitive. I don't mind it, but it has taught me a lot. But things like keeping a garden, having to tend to that, making sure that your life is kind of oriented in such a way so that you can be there for the different things that arise throughout the season, right? And so I think that's a big commitment, and I just think that it's like a theater to learn so much about the universe, about life, interior work, because you're forced, if you want it to thrive, right? You're forced to really be there every day. And so you can really think of, anything in these terms, as long as you are kind of doing this often. Okay. And I think that that's kind of where you're at, for sure. Okay. So I'm looking at this one, and I'm seeing that we have a person who's kind of sitting with their arm on their knee, and I see above a heart, and I feel that you are definitely in this contemplative state. I feel that, through this kind of reorientation of your life, you have found a place of contentment to some degree, ease of all of the kind of staticky stuff outside of this little bubble that you've been kind of living in. And the interesting thing is, I think that because you have applied yourself so much, you've allowed yourself to kind of flourish in this place, it is kind of permeating out into the universe. And I think that there is definitely fortune and success coming your way. And I know that these are things that, can be anything, but and definitely in the eye of the beholder, right? But I do think that there are resources here, money coming your way. And I think that it's not something that you really anticipated, like aligning for you in your favor. But I do think that it will go that way. And I wonder if this is maybe like, a new job being offered to you. Maybe you have started a business, or you have some kind of side business. Maybe you make something and sell it. You're a healer. You're, within the wellness universe, which a lot of people I think on here kind of are, or spirituality kind of stuff, whatever it is. I mean, it literally could be, you know, I don't know. I'm trying to think what's the opposite. They all kind of are, everything kind of flows into each other. Everything is everything, right? But, you know, whatever it is, if it's within your chosen career, if it is in the work that you do, if that is, you know, kind of entry-level stuff, which, hey, that's, you know, been my whole life. Somebody had commented, I talk a lot about people with big jobs, right? And I feel like when I'm talking about stuff, I don't identify as a professional, anything, because I didn't finish college and I have never had, you know, a quote unquote big job. You know, I was always a waitress or a prep cook or, you know, a cafe, a barista, or, you know, something like that. And so when I talk about these things, it's meant for anybody in any configuration of work, okay? Or volunteering, or if you are like I am now, I am mostly a stay-at-home parent. I keep a home. You know, I help run business. I run my own business, but I help run my husband's business. And so you know, these things can be applied to whatever it looks like for you, okay? If you're like a day laborer or a banker or, you know, a Reiki healer, I mean, it could be anything. So please, you know, don't think that I'm only talking to people that are like, you know, have some kind of certification or big degree or whatever. But that being said, yeah, I do think that you have in your own little, I almost kind of think of like, you know, a greenhouse where everything is really flourishing. It's nice and warm and humid in there. And you've kind of been away from, you know, getting kind of distracted by other things. And there's a lot of love, a lot of self-love happening. And so that's really bringing in this energy, making space so that money is finding you. And it could be, you know, $5. It could be $1 million. I don't know. But whatever it is, you know, I think that you are finding that being intentional about the way that you're living, learning, doing the work, staying on a routine that works for you, you know, hopefully doing some gratitude stuff. All of this really puts you in a kind of configuration to find this kind of success and let it find you as well. Okay. Now, that being said, I think that it's really important. I see a little person kind of standing here next to a tree. And then we have, it almost looks like what I think of like when you look at the Northern Lights. And so where I'm at, we can see them sometimes. And if you've ever seen them, they're really, I mean, very interesting. The first time I saw them, I was driving and I looked up and I was like, oh my gosh, it looks like the ocean in the sky. So I pulled over and, you know, got out and looked at them, and I couldn't believe that it was, you know, this is something that it's just out there happening, you know. And so I think that it is important for you to witness the gift that is kind of, you know, coming from the work that you're doing, but is also, you know, it's left to perception. We can go through our days thinking we deserve everything. And really we do, right? But the reality is, like, we have to, like, humble our expectations of life. Only because, and I'm not saying this so you limit how well you can do, how much you can grow, but because when you are thankful for the little markers on the path, right? Everything means so much more. And, you know, if you are seeking a life that is meaningful, that feels, you know, it's a small life, but it feels like there are big moments in it, then we have to temper our desire for these grand gestures from the universe. So I think it's important to always kind of return to these little humble places. And as you know, you begin to find success, do not get lost in that. Do not, you know, just start to assume that it's going to always be there. You have to make use of it. You have to, you know, figure out how you are going to do something more with it. Maybe, and if it is money, you know, savings, investing, whatever you can, use it in a way that is going to, you know, better your situation, whatever that looks like. Okay. Now we also have a big L. So I wanted to point that out. Maybe an L name. And then up here, I see a person who is kind of sitting, and they have a flower they're holding. And I really think that, you know, the thing that is so important as you are trying to bring in these waves of good fortune is that you have to be of service to others. Okay, you have to balance out the fortune and success. And I would recommend being of service to others, volunteering, giving back, showing up for someone, helping someone without them knowing. Okay? You know, it doesn't have to be monetary. I'm not saying you go and donate a bunch of money or any money at all, but, you know, giving your time to others. Doesn't have to be a lot of time. It could be, you know, 45 minutes a month or whatever. I don't know why I thought of 45 minutes, but, you know, it's not quite an hour. But if you give your time, you know, there's so many people out there, if you just went and visited them, you know, that would be more than enough. I think about even just in this area that I live in, there are so many people that are elderly. They are alone. Their kids have moved away because it's pretty rural, and they never see anybody really. I mean, they maybe have some friends in the community, but a lot of people, you know, they pass on and then they end up pretty isolated. So even if you just go out of your way, and I know we live in a world where we don't know our neighbors usually. It's almost kind of weird to check in on people. But I promise you, if you go to like a assisted living place or find some kind of outreach through a church or, you know, some kind of community thing, in your area, and I know it might feel like a lot of work, but they're always looking for people to go out there and visit others. And you know, if you don't want to like work with children or whatever, I know that's a lot, or animals. I can't necessarily work with animals myself, not because I don't love them, but because I get so emotional and I want to keep them all. Both of my cats are well, both of my companions, I should say. They're not my cats. But the cats that allow me to live with them, TT and Pudgy, they're both, now Pudgy was a rescue, just straight up. I adopted him, but TT was a foster, and then she just stayed, and I would have never been able to, let her go. So I know myself, and so I think it's a good idea, if you can go read to people, or hey, even picking up trash, cleaning up the side of the street, whatever it is. So many things to do. So many things to do. So many things to do. And, I'm a firm believer in the superstitious way. We have to give back where we have been given a smile from the universe. Plus, it might not feel like anyone has ever helped you with anything. Your circumstances might feel pretty dire, and I get that. I've been in pretty low places in my life, and been pretty angry, and, felt alone, forgotten, discarded, all those kinds of things. But I will tell you what, never in my life have I ever felt bad or had any kind of remorse for the time I've spent giving to others. And as some of you know, I'm in recovery for substance abuse and mental health recovery, really. But through doing the recovery work, I've learned that I have to go out and do things that are not for me. They're a little bit for me, of course, but doing stuff for other people, even if it's like time consuming, it's, it makes me tired. I don't understand why they need this certain thing, and whatever. I don't judge. I just do it. And I don't ever feel remorse for doing that. And I honestly believe that's how my life has gotten better. Because you have to have moments where you're not thinking about yourself. You just do. And it opens up parts of yourself that you maybe even you forget about. You just do. As we get older, we get more separated from one another. We become more, I don't know, almost like paranoid about other people taking what's ours, or, jealous of what other people have and we don't. Yeah, when you have you're struggling to eat and you're experiencing people who have, more than enough and they're wasteful and all this, of course you're going to feel upset about that. But the thing is, sometimes we have to, we have to do for others so we can get out of that state of mind. And when we get dislodged from that state of mind, that's when we find ways to move forward. That's when we find opportunities. Okay? And, I'm not trying to preach, but I want all of us to be able to kind of find some kind of softness in this life. Find some kind of ease from the pain that it is to just be alive in a human body. And if I can just try to convey a little tidbit, of what has worked for me in these readings, I feel like, maybe that will help even just one of you. Even if it's just one of you hears it and it's like, I'm going to do that, then it's all worth it. Okay. Now we have another bird. And it's hard to show you from, I just poured that all over my table. Oops. We have a bird who's kind of sitting right here on a stick. or a branch. And it looks like it's kind of about to grab whatever this is. And again, I just feel like there's such abundance for you right now. And I think that there's just so much happiness in the prosperity. Even the idea of the prosperity, right? There's this feeling of the fire really starting to burn brighter, okay? And I think that, you know, you're going to get out there and get what you need, you know? You're going to definitely, sorry, I'm trying to get some of this out before it gets through to the table down there. Yeah, get what you need. And I see that exclamation mark. I think that there's excitement here. I think we're just really in a happy place. And you know, that's another time to really go be around people that need to be around happy people. But, you know, also, I think that as we talked about, you kind of being in your own little bubble, this is what's been helpful for you to get where you're at right now. So you have to be selective about where you're putting your energies. And kind of honestly, the nice thing about doing some volunteer work and stuff is that you can become very attached to people and get to know them over a period of time. But there's also, there's kind of, you know, a little bit of that more professional kind of buffer, I guess. So hopefully at least you are able to maintain the balance that you've had, right? And if you do become friends and you know, beyond the volunteering, get to know these people, that's over a period of time, and you kind of grow into that. So there's time to kind of continually find your balance and making it all work together. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at these wild bohemian affirmation cards. These are the fire element. Last week we used the earth element. Let's see. Just gonna kind of go through. Pick one. Okay. So it's a nice, pretty red tropical flower. And it says, I am soulful. You have the heart, strength to give love freely. You are wise to be light-hearted. Okay, there you go. Go and give some of that light to other people, some of that happiness, some of that care, attention. Really, you know, giving people who maybe never get attention from anybody, just listening to them is quite possibly the best gift you could give anybody. For somebody to be heard when they have never been heard or are rarely heard. You know, that there's nothing that feels as good as that. So I'm going to say thank you so much for spending this time with me, Gemini. I'm so happy we're having a, it seems like a pretty wonderful reading today. Good vibes. And I'm going to ask you if you would be so kind as to like the video. It helps us get into the algorithm and that helps the channel grow. If you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next videos are coming out. And if you want to leave a comment, please do. I read every single one of them and I reply back to them. Every single one. And so sometimes it takes me a day or two to get back to you, but I will, I promise. and I'm getting so close to getting them all done today. I really spent some time going through all the lovely birthday wishes, and I want to say thank you for that. It was a very nice, low-key birthday, and all of the love that I received from you all and from my husband's channel, Dove and Serpent Tarot. All of the community over there was so sweet, so kind, and I'm very thankful for that. Okay, we will talk in just a couple days. Thank you, thank you, thank you.